What we were going to talk about a little bit was non-duality. And I had a pretty good chat going about that. A little post I put up, actually, and I'll read that off as we wait to see if Sue comes back or not. So Harrowings podcast does just sort of scratch the surface with my guests. And if anybody else would like to be a guest, you can put it in the chat and let me know. I'm really appreciative of Mick O'Brien, who let me know that I can be heard. Um, let's see. I did Memories of the Past this morning. It was a note that I'm actually looking for, which was on the subject of non-duality. Home. And we'll go to my own profile and we'll read that off a little bit because I think it's kind of an interesting thing. And I didn't really read it too closely before posting it. So this is from God Speaks, the theme of creation and its purpose. Anybody who's followed me here any length of time knows that I've become at least acquainted with Mayor Baba back in the 1980s when the director of religious life at the Randolph-Macon College was a part of Mayor Baba's circle. He had known him in life, and before Mayor Baba dropped the body, as they say. Okay, so here it is. This is from God Speaks, the theme of creation and its purpose. Mayor Baba presents non-duality through the soul's complete journey from unconscious godhood to conscious godhood. In the beyond state, Paramatma, there we go, I think that's how it's pronounced. God exists in absolute impressionless unconsciousness, unaware even of himself. From this state arises the original infinite whim or first urge, expressed as the question, who am I? This impulse initiates the entire process of creation and the soul's evolution. So that's very much like the idea in Gnosticism of well, come back in, Sue. Let me see if I can re-invite you. Let's see if that works. Sue, invite one co-host. So I'm reading about the state of the monad being impressionless unconsciousness, unaware even of itself, or himself, as they use a gendered pronoun here. And I hear you,
It's
Sue.
working now.
Well, very good. I'm
I don't
coming
know
out and
what
coming
that
back
was.
in.
Yeah. Hi.
All right, so we only have that moment so far in what I was reading to kill time from God Speaks about the beyond state of God, Paratpar Paramatma, in which God exists in absolute impressionless unconsciousness. And this was from Mayor Baba's God Speaks, the theme of creation and its purpose. So I was killing time with reading about that because I did a little writing, well, with a little help from my assistant to
Do you know
sort of
what I thought? I
go
thought it
on.
was Baba having a joke.
In a
I
way, it
thought it
is
was
because he
Mayor
has the
Baba
whim
having a
of
joke. Mm.
who am I, and then all of reality sort of unfolds from that. And the answer to his question is only one answer: I am God. God is infinite, and his shadow too is infinite. Reality is infinite in its oneness. Illusion is infinite in its manyness. So yeah, it is kind of a joke, right? It's a performance. So go on with what you were saying.
Well, it was about the silence, you know?
Oh, right.
Yes, and he had like this made a declaration, didn't he, that he was going to go into silence.
And that was the day we first spoke, I think. It was when he made the
Yeah.
declaration. And today was the day that he became silent 101 years ago.
Yes.
So it's the
Yeah.
anniversary of Silence Day. And here we are chattering away.
Yeah. I thought the silent bit was him coming in and
Ah,
bringing his silence.
yeah. Well, he did silence me there for some reason on your end. But my guests could hear me. Um,
Oh, really? Right.
and we have a
It's
guest
just me.
actually
Yeah.
weighing in here. I'll say this now. After you said I can hear now, Bruno Battati, who was a guest of the Everyday Junglist recently, by the way, says, your face is here and you are not wandering around DC. What does he say beyond that? It's hard to see because let's hear some wisdom. Aha. The voice of silence. There we go. So, Sue and I both have had our encounters with Mayor Baba, and I loved how you talked about your first encounter. How did it come about again? Could you tell us that?
When I had a kind of unexpected, kind of happening in a very ordinary situation, just about to pick my daughter up from school. And as I went to get my coat, I just froze and I just thought, I'm going to faint. It's the heat or, some logical reason. And then I just said, my partner said, I think you should just sit down for a minute, and just get yourself together. And then I felt like a presence of joy and like complete bliss. It was wonderful. And I said, can you please give me a pen? I have to write something down. And so I had this like message. My eyes were closed when I wrote. And then when we looked at the message, when I'd finished, after a few minutes, there was this message that we had to go and visit somewhere. And at the bottom it had, from Meher Baba. And I said, who is Meher Baba?
No idea.
I have to put this in context. I have been, from a child, I had like visions and I did have like messages and things from people who died, but I never actually became like a medium or any of that. It was just a completely one-off personal thing.
Hmm.
So it wasn't unusual to have like a message come through. But to have a message come through from someone I didn't know or had never heard of was very unusual. So it was only when I asked around, some of my spiritual friends, that a few people said, I've heard of Meher Baba. He died a few years ago, and this is the book to read about him. So that's how I was introduced to Meher Baba.
And which book did you read?
Oh, it was a little blue paperback book with lots of like Eastern symbols on the front, but I can't remember the name. It was a very like oneness. I mean, it was one of the kind of God speaks or something
Yeah.
like very small title, little book. And
Yeah.
I'm not very good at reading spiritual books. I just dipped in and out. But I got the gist of it. That was enough. And I saw that he had cosmic consciousness. And he referred to himself as like the one. He spoke from the absolute. Yeah.
The Ancient One. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And
And
that
he's
was
amusing.
fascinating. Yeah. Sorry?
Yeah, he's very funny. It's very amusing, the way in which he goes about his work here on the our side. And
Yes.
by 1969, he drops the body, and yet he came across to you in the 2000 noughts, right?
It
That's when you
was
had this encounter.
about, I was looking at the dates of that, and it was actually just before 2000. It was like 1998, something like that. Yeah, that was the time, because I was in the middle of moving from London to
Mm.
Bath. And he actually told me when I was living in London, working in London, he said, you have to move to Bath and set up a healing centre. What? I had no money, nothing, nothing. How am I going to get this healing centre together? He said, I will help you find a house. This was all written down with my eyes shut. So he said, you have to go to Bath. So I told my partner, I said, we have to move to Bath. He went, great, let's get out of London. So with no money, both self-employed, he said, you will be moved in 6 weeks' time. Yeah? We were like, this is no, this is not Baba. This is some kind of nutcase. What is going on? It really challenged your face. And so after about 2 weeks, we went down to Bath. We had a camper van and we went down to Bath looking for houses. And we were just about like to head out of Bath. We'd been looking all day, nothing. We were heading out of Bath, and suddenly Baba came through in the car, grabbed my partner's hand, and got him to turn the wheel and go down this road. Can you believe it? He actually went, no, this way. And we went down this
No,
road and ended
no,
up
we
in a
don't believe this.
village near Bath. He said, you nearly gave me a heart attack. I said, it was Baba. So we went into this pub just to have a drink and recover. And no alcohol, just orange juice or something. And he came through, and I wrote on the napkin in the pub, he gave me the instructions that this healing centre was going to be in this village. And he said it was only a few hundred metres away from where we were sitting. And he said it's in between the river and the road, and it's not on the market yet, so don't bother coming to have a look for a house for another few weeks.
But it would
3
be
weeks
coming on the
later,
market. He was
we came down and we found a house between the river and the road, not far from the pub. And
Bruno
in 6
Benatti
weeks, we
saying
had
you would have
moved in.
suggested Kent.
Yeah, we'd
Okay,
moved in
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Yeah, bought
So,
it and
are you
moved
there
in.
now?
No, I moved from there.
And what is the history? What is the history of the healing center? How did that go?
Oh yeah, well it was true. He basically the healing centre, which I mean I was like had done a bit of healing, but I would never call myself a healer. It wasn't like a title or something I did all the time. And so I thought, well,
Hmm.
I'm just going to have to follow him on this. So I had this beautiful house, mortgage came through, massive garden, beautiful for retreats. It had a river at the bottom of the path, no cars going past. It was like idyllic, you know.
Yeah.
And we got it reduced because the sale fell through and we got it half price.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I tell you, I mean, it's hard to argue with that kind of result.
I mean, it was it. Well, actually, you know, after we spoke last time, I thought, well, you know, the best part of my story about Baba is the healing centre, and we never mentioned that. So maybe we can,
Right.
you know, do it now. Like, and so yeah, basically, I started to work with Reiki healing, and my teacher had a guidance that I should be a Reiki master. I didn't ask. She said I have to give it to you as a gift.
Uh-huh.
Right. So I did the Reiki masters, and within weeks, I had people, clients phoning up for healing sessions, and then I began a school of healing there, and
Right.
was there giving workshops on all kinds of things. And Baba would sometimes come through in the healing sessions and in the workshops. He would come through and give messages to certain particular people. I mean, it was like awesome, really. And then after several years, he said, I have to leave you now and you must get on with your work yourself. But he was there at a
Okay.
particular
So
period
several
of my
years
life.
that lasted.
Yeah.
So in that several years, how long was that? Do you remember what year the healing
Well,
center
that would be
wrapped
from
up?
like 1998 to probably 2006. Yeah.
2006. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
And then what happened after 2006? You stopped that part of the work. And I remember we talked about you being a teacher and you decided you didn't really like the role of teacher
Yeah.
as much.
Not long after that, I was given, a scholarship to work with a non dual teacher
Uh-huh.
from America. And we had a European training, and I met amazing people from all over the world. And he helped people to formulate non-dual teachings. And I published my first book. I was very nervous, but he encouraged me to publish my first book, Use a Beloved the One, Welcome Home, which is about the one, being everyone is the whole of everything. So, and it was non-duality, but as I said, I didn't know that it was called anything. I just wrote what I felt. And he said, "This is non-dual teachings. What are you doing on the course?" So I was like, "Oh, I don't know what it's called. It's just what I feel." So he supported me a lot, this teacher, to put classes on. And for about a few years, I taught non-dual workshops and courses and retreats. And I also trained some of the students to actually lead retreats on non-duality. Like, yeah, I'd kind of get, like say do a 10-week course on non-duality. And then the last kind of part of the course was that we booked a venue, and each of the students led
Mhm.
a part of the day as a non-dual teacher.
Very interesting.
And they didn't think they could do it, but they did.
Of course not.
And everyone supported everyone else. And it was beautiful because you'd see people like with the mind and then suddenly there's a teacher. And I said, put the cloak on, get into the act, be the guru. And they would be, and then they'd be, who am I? Or, I'm not my
Yeah.
body, or, they just kind of speak from a deep place that I believe we all have, you
Right.
know,
Right.
but we
I
just don't
agree.
think we have. Yeah. So
Well,
it was so amazing. That was the best part, to actually empower. That's all it is. It's just empowerment because we've all got that knowing, I believe. Yeah. And the ages range from teenager was the youngest in the group, and then the oldest was like 80. So it was a whole range, men and women and different ages. And the energy of doing that as the group, it was amazing, beautiful. Yeah.
I think Bob is messing with our signals. First, your internet was unstable. I got a little message at the bottom of my phone. Then mine is. So who knows? What needs to be heard will be heard by those who need to hear it
Yes.
and are
Yeah.
receptive to it. I don't know. I just know how things seem to me, and it really seemed to me that this had a lot of resonance for me. That as I study it, I go into it. I'm really fascinated by Upasani Maharaj and his life
Hmm.
because he was a strange dude.
Yeah. I never had. I knew of people who'd known him, but I didn't actually have any connection with him.
With Mayor Baba, you mean?
No, Maharaj. Did you say Maharaj?
Upasani Maharaj, who was
Oh, I
died in
see.
1941.
Oh,
He dropped the
okay.
body. He was the one who threw the rock that hit
Oh,
Mayor
I
Baba
see.
in the
Yes.
spot where
Yeah,
Hazrat
I know. Yeah,
Babajan had
yeah, yeah,
kissed
yeah.
him.
The woman. Yeah,
Yeah. And,
yeah.
a lot of people don't know these stories, but they're
No.
amazing stories. And it's kind of like,
Yes.
what? It's kind
Yeah.
of like your story, right? You closed your eyes, you wrote, and you got
Yeah.
guidance that caused you to do
That's
these
right.
things that had these tremendous effects. Now, who are your students these days? Do you keep up with your students?
Well, I work one to one mostly with people now. One to one.
But your old students, the students you taught, the ones that
Oh, the
from the
students
healing
I taught,
center.
I'm still in touch with them. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Good, good. So that's
Oh,
nice. Maybe
yeah.
we should have them on.
It changed their life. I mean, because
Mm,
it changed their perception of who they were.
right.
And one of them, the young girl, the one who was like about 18, she works with non-duality with deaf people. And another lady who worked with me actually has gone on to be what they call person-centered psychotherapy, which is non-dual therapy. So they've
Hmm.
actually, and that's in, I think she's in Ireland now. So they've kind of taken what I shared and empowered them, but they've taken it into the world in their own particular, with their own gifts. They
Exactly.
don't have to become a teacher or a therapist of non duality. They can take that knowing and that seeing into whatever they're doing, you know.
Yeah.
And
And what you
that's a great thing. And also, ladies gone in business, particularly mindfulness in businesses. So they all were touched, and it never left them. So, but they've taken that into their futures with a different flavour now, a different perspective, you know.
Yeah, we're all on a road, and whether we're conscious of being guided on that road or not, I think we all are. We're all, I
Mhm.
mean, Baba is one, right? And we are one.
Mhm.
We are
Mhm.
not we.
Yeah.
We are one. And one of the things that happened to me, I'll tell this story really briefly because it came to mind. A
Sorry.
friend of mine I grew up with is a drummer, and he's taken his drumming into like corporate venues and taught
Right.
team building and drumming.
Mhm.
And we both came up through the Fife and Drum Corps in Colonial Williamsburg, where we were very lucky that in 1972, about the time he joined, and I was there a couple of years later, um, we got the youngest drum major in the history of the Scots Guards down in London, right? The Guards barracks is where he went when he was like a child, I think 9 or 10 years old,
Wow.
as a drummer boy. And he had been trained up as and became the youngest drum major in their history, drummer to the royal household, and then retired from the British Army because he was being taken away from his family on deployments to like Egypt, to the Suez. And so he came back to America and started training fife and drum corps in Canada and I think the northern part of the United States. And then he got the opportunity to come and train us in Colonial Williamsburg, which was started by John D. Rockefeller with the money Rockefeller
Right.
provided anyway to preserve the
Covent.
great history of the United States because it's a little
Yeah.
crucible there in Williamsburg of about 3,000 people who produced Washington, Jefferson, and now we're celebrating our 250th year. So all these things link together. But Lance took his drumming and has used it in the corporate scheme to help people, get in touch with working together in rhythm and balance. And Baba was a great fan of music. I think we talked last time about how
Yeah.
one of his
Yeah.
favorite songs was Cole Porter's Begin the Beguine, that Pete Townsend does a lovely cover version of. And since we talked, I've been using and talking more openly about this kind of influence on me, listening to Pravartigar. Are you familiar with the Universal Prayer Pravartigar?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, it's a link I can provide for sure because I have, and it is the one that goes. And I'm probably going to flub the words, but I could probably call it up actually. Let me do that instead. It'd be more interesting for me anyway to get the words down just by having the dent of the computer here. And because I'm not using the computer, I'm using my phone for this
Yeah.
conversation instead as we tried to work
There
around
might be
our
a reason.
silence problem, which you
Mhm.
so noted. Yeah, that it was a day of silence for most Babo people who are really serious about it are not speaking today, not like we are. Let's see. I can't type and talk at the same time. So tell me more about whichever way you feel like you're feeling like going while I find this.
Feel well. I think it's I kind of don't. I'm not very good at kind of thinking I want to do something, or this is the way I'm going. I just kind of feel into what's coming, and I think it was like about
What's coming?
a few months ago. I had this really like strong seeing. I was writing a poem, and I actually did. I was the person who needed to hear my own poem because it was all about not waiting for the next thing. And at the moment, I'm writing a lot about the gap, the gap between now and what's going to happen in the future, and that as a society, we live in anticipation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the thing that I was addressing about, and I don't know when I'm going to finish this podcast, but I will finish it at some point. But it's kind of comes when it comes, but it's like a process that I'm going through, and it's been very interesting. It's not to plan. not to anticipate what's going to happen next, and to
Mhm.
really let go and surrender into living in the moment, really. And what has happened is that I've just been bombarded with people wanting individual sessions, and kind of wanting to talk to me in depth about their lives, and just not called anything, but just for calling me, or and this is from different countries as well, not just in the UK. And I found that as I've stopped wanting or planning or thinking of this anticipatory future,
Uh-huh.
everything comes because I've got
Yeah.
out of the way. And I really feel that for me has been a major, beautiful gift of, because I am quite, although I'm very open and mystical and stuff, I am quite organised person. I used to organise a lot of events for other people as well,
Sure.
for other teachers as well and things, and support new teachers. So,
I cannot be
I've got quite
organized.
a strong organisational, but I've got to drop that for myself now.
Well, I cannot be organized, but you have drawn my attention. All right. And that's actually, this is an interesting thing because both of my wives, yeah, I don't know if you believe in astrology or not. I don't really.
Oh, yes, I do astrology, yeah. Mm.
I don't really buy into it too much. My friend Odette,
It's
actually a
like the
teammate of mine.
weather. It's the weather.
Okay.
It helps you see what the weather's like, but it doesn't control who you are and what you do. It's just a kind of checking the.
Okay.
Mm.
I've studied Richard Tarnas. Have you ever heard of him? He wrote
Richard?
Richard Tarnas. He
No.
wrote The Passion of the Western Mind, and then he wrote Cosmos and Psyche, about how you can actually look at the whole picture of where the planets were and all of the things
Yeah.
about
Hmm.
astrology, and look at historical events in the context of astrology, and how the mind is really connected to the stars. Actually, that's the line out of a Pete Townsend song called "The Naked Eye," I think. But this is the poem that I was thinking of. It's an adaptation of the Universal Prayer of Meher Baba, and I'll just read it off and
Yeah, sure.
interrupt our
Lovely.
stream a little bit with this. And Pete Townsend set it to music. It's very beautiful in the way he performs it. He performed it in German as well, interestingly enough. And you can get it actually as a little EP of sorts from Pete's outlets. Anyway, it goes, O Pravartigar, the preserver and protector of all. Without beginning are you Lord, without end, non-dual, beyond compare, and none can measure you. Without color, expression, or form, nor attributes to lend. You are unlimited, and none can plumb your depths, impenetrable beyond conception by our minds. None can divide you, O God, you are eternal. None can see you but with eyes divine. You always were, you always are, and always will be. You are everywhere and everything and beyond, in the firmament above and in the deep, on all the seven planes and farther on, in all that's hidden to our eyes and all we see. Beyond the trinity of words and in the vow, you cannot be perceived, and no one shall depend. O Parvartigar, preserve, protect us all. Without beginning are you Lord, without end. You always were, you always are, you always will be. You are the Creator, the Lord of Lords, the knower of all minds and hearts, omnipotent, omnipresent. From you we cower. You are knowledge, infinite bliss, infinite power. You are the ocean of knowledge, knowing all, infinitely knowing but cannot tell. The knower of the past, the present, and future, crowning even this, your knowledge itself. O merciful benevolence eternal, you're the trinity of knowledge, truth, and bliss. And you are the source of truth, the one with infinite attributes. You are the ocean of love we sorely miss. You always were, you always are, you always will be. You are the ancient one, the highest of the high. You are Prabhu and Parameshvar. You are the beyond God, beyond God also. Parabrahma, Paramatma, and Allah. Yezdan, Uhura Mazda, and God the Beloved. O Pravartigar, the preserver and protector of all, without beginning are you Lord, without end. You are named you are named Izad, the only one worthy of worship. We sing the universal prayer to you. Amen. And it's beautiful. I love that setting that he does as well with the
Mm,
guitar and his solo voice.
mhm.
But he did that on Who's Next? Who are what is it called? The first solo album is called. Hmm, why is it not coming back to me? You know that happens. You get a little block. But his very first solo album, I can see the cover of it, and he's in that white jumpsuit with his Doc Martens on, sort of staring out at the camera with a little picture of Mayor Baba pinned on him. So you actually had some truck with his manager, I believe you said.
Oh, well, basically, it was when I was when I was in London. I was doing music
This
before
is
I moved
before
to
Bath.
Bath. I
Before
was
Bath.
sorry.
That was before Bath.
Yes, yeah, and yeah, the tribal band that I was doing, and well, that we were doing as a group. It was just friends,
Hmm.
and suddenly we were invited by these people who Terence McKenna was involved with,
Oh, right.
um, and this thing called Megatropolis, which was in the late 90s in
Uh huh.
London. And it
Right.
was a kind of like rehash of the 70s. And
Right.
these two guys that were, well, Fraser Clark, who was running it, had been like instrumental in the 60s and 70s. And so he
Hmm.
thought he'd have another pop at getting the flower power going again in London, and invited like Terence McKenna, Rupert Sheldrake. And it was like all these kids were coming, and it was like brilliant, because the kids coming hadn't been around at that time. And
Hmm.
we were like, oh, well, there's these hippies doing this thing. Maybe we should go and help them out. So we just went and played what we played in our house, really, in each other's homes. And before we knew, we were being offered record contracts. And we were like, no, we don't want to be famous. We just like doing the music. Anyway, somebody in the band said, oh, I've got a friend who it was a music producer, and she can help us to kind of maneuver through what's happening. We don't need to get caught in these, money things or, contract. We can just play. So this lady came into our lives, and she said, oh, I can help you with stage presentation. And then she just casually said, oh, I used to be Pete Townshend's manager. Have you
Hmm.
heard of him? The Who? And I went, well, I've heard of him. Yeah. She said, well, I was, his stage manager years ago. And she hadn't seen him for a while. And she said, yeah, he was very connected with Meher Baba. I went, Meher Baba? You knew Meher Baba? She went, no, I didn't know
Sneaking.
him, but he did. And I know that he wrote Tommy about Baba. So that was a connection. Then I really connected with this lady who'd been Pete's, and she told me lots of stories about Pete and the band and what happened in those days. So for some reason, I had to know that. I don't know. And as I said, on one occasion, Baba, we were in London before we moved to Bath, and Baba said, "I want you to visit Pete's house." God. And so we went to, the area of London where his house is, and I said, well, where is it? And Baba just said, get out of the car and walk across the road, and it was there.
There you
So
go.
he did things like that where he'd give you directions, you'd go somewhere. I even went to San Francisco, and and he met certain people and guided me to meet particular people who'd known Baba. And I'd just often be saying, well, can you give us the next instructions? And he'd just put, you're here. Because I was blind. I was following his instructions blind. I didn't know, in countries I'd never been to and in cities I'd never been. But he
I
guided. I
love
mean,
I love
it was
that because it's like
incredible.
the final scene in Tommy where all of the guys are in the blackout sunglasses and earplugs and a cork in the mouth, blind, deaf, and dumb.
Yeah, it was total trust. I had, you know, people used to, people obviously people would think is she a bit crazy, until they had a message from Baba, and then I mean, like the messages were like spot on, and it was always about the real part of them, not trivialities. It was always about their soul and their life purpose and deep things that they needed answers to. So
And
that was the sorry.
so much doesn't have anything to do with the trappings of the external world, right?
No,
You know,
no, no.
it's all just you never know where your hope is going to come from. I had a homeless guy come into the shop the other day. I work in front of house staff in a cafe down the way. Got to be there 9 o'clock this morning. In fact, and he walked in and was like, "You think you could help me out with something? Maybe a lemonade?" And I was like, I sort of made sure the chef was good with that, and we got him a
Mm,
lemonade. And then he wanted a little something else. And by this time, the chef was not having it. He was like, "This guy's
right.
just going to camp here all
Mm,
day."
mm, mm.
But we did what we did, and I told him, well, I've hit the limit, but at least we did that. It felt good. And you never know who you're talking to. You never know. And he's just another iteration of the pattern of Homo sapiens to me, like we all are, and we're all part of that one, and all life is, all
Yeah.
creation is. And that's the big theme, I think, to try to keep that in consciousness.
Mm.
We'd do so much better for each other if we were all mindful of this, awake and aware to
Yeah.
the
Mm, mm.
miracle of any of us appearing to be in this play, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is a play. You
Mm.
played a role as a teacher. You said you were uncomfortable with that role. You took that mask off, and now what's happening here and now today? What's on your schedule? What's going to happen? What's the You're going to wing it? Going to let go and see what happens?
Well, that's my no plan. I've thrown the plans in the bin now, and it's
Yeah. So
much better. It's
how
much
was
better.
yesterday? How was yesterday? What was going on yesterday?
I was
Just
writing.
curious.
Right, I love writing. If I have a chance, I love writing because I can. Um, my mind can communicate a lot of these experiences and feelings and things in my life that I used to write. I'll tell you, I used to write and then burn it. I used to set fire to God, not to be attached, and that I'm not my writing. And then if people published it, which from quite young people published my writing, and literally had to rip it out of my hands because I was like, oh no, it's not good enough. No, no. It was like, can we be make the decision? Not can you get out of the way and just share that? So I had a great difficulty in sharing, and put together a whole kind of book in my late teens, early 20s with planned it all out, pictures and everything. Very similar to what I write now. There's not much difference. And I just put it in the bin and burnt it.
You and Sid Barrett. Are you familiar with Sid?
Is he the one that they thought was loony?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
he
yeah.
used to paint. After he gave up music, he was painting, and he would then burn his paintings in the courtyard.
It blows people's minds because people are attached to. And I said, look,
Things.
I've still got what wrote that inside me. That's not going anywhere. That
Yeah.
that's just stuff. I mean, it's maybe helpful stuff to somebody, but there's more. It's not that. it's being attached to form, isn't it?
Yeah, and eventually we're going to lose everything anyway.
Mm.
We're going to let go and we're going to remerge with the ocean of bliss. That's the promise, I think. The drop soul will remerge with the ocean, and we're already the ocean, but we don't spend our time thinking about that too much. Or maybe we do. Some of us do. Some of us get that. I've
But you
gotten it.
don't, maybe not thinking about it, but what about being it?
Yeah,
Just being in it.
yeah.
Mm.
But and sensing it and know it, having that deep knowing of it. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. That's the thing I say all the time is I don't know. I just know how it seems to me, and I could be wrong. It might just be another cosmic joke, cosmic pie in the face. That's Wavy Gravy's line for it. You know Wavy Gravy, right? Have we talked about
Who?
that? Wavy
Wavy
Gravy.
grape.
Yeah. He just turned 90. He was Hugh Romney, and he changed his name to Wavy Gravy when B.B. King was trying to step over him when he was collapsed on the stage at the Texas Pop Festival in 1970 after trying to get the hippies to put their clothes back on. And, trying to sort of, he was security for these events like Woodstock in
Hmm.
1969, the Texas Pop Festival in 70. And B.B. King was coming on stage, looked down at him and said, "You wavy gravy?" And he said, "Yes, sir." And then he said, "Well, wavy gravy, I can work around you." And it was just a great clown name, is the way Wavy puts it. So he became a clown, a counterculture clown, if you will, an intuitive clown.
Mm.
As he puts it, he was quoting somebody else. I'll have to find out who said it originally, but I'd like to credit them because it's a good line. He says, "A clown is a poet who is also an orangutan." And
Well,
yeah. But anyway, Wavy has done a lot of good in the world. He's been an activist clown, and he's gotten beat up by the cops so much that he's got a permanent hang tag for his car and can park anywhere forever for free. That's how he opens up the movie about his life, which is called The Wavy Gravy Story, Saint
sounds great.
Misbehavin'. Yeah, the subtitle is Saint Misbehavin'.
Yeah. Oh,
And it's a beautiful film. It was done by Michelle Lesrick, who's become a friend. I saw a screening of it with Wavy in attendance and his wife and his son. And as recently as I guess it was May, I went to the Ardmore Music Hall and had a nice conversation with his son out on the sidewalk towards the end of the show.
oh,
And yeah, we've gotten to be at least in contact. I don't have to like be in everybody's life all the time.
no,
I don't
no.
feel, but I know about these people. I try to amplify their signals through the noise because I'm just a node on a big non hierarchical network, is the way I feel. And I pick up signals and I try to transmit them on. When I was in college, I picked up the signal about Mayor Baba from the director of religious life who had known him when
No.
he was a child, Charles Haynes. And since then, I've sometimes been on the beam with it, and other times it's just been in the background of my head, the consciousness of, oh, there was this guy, and he was in India, and he traveled the world. He went over, and the fascinating thing is that he steams into New York Harbor
Oh, yeah,
at
I read that. Yeah. Mm.
December 12th, 1934. Stays a few days, gets on a train, goes to L.A. Doesn't really do much in L.A., but gets on a boat, goes off to Hawaii, and then back over to India. And then he was back here. I don't know what year it was exactly when he went to Hollywood and was feted by Charlie Chaplin and Tallulah Bankhead and Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks. He was at Pick Fair. They had a big thing for him there. And supposedly he was going to break his silence at Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, and he didn't. No.
He got on a boat and left. And everybody was like, what? There was going to be this big thing. You just left?
Oh God, that's it. The rug pull. That's what he is, Baba. That's what I felt quite a few times. He pulled the rug,
Oh,
like he
rug
thinks
puller.
something is going to happen, or that's the way, and then suddenly it just all blew up, or something went a completely different way to what you thought it would do.
That reminds me of my own life. My wife and I, we bought this bunker that I'm in right now. I call it the
Mhm.
bunker. It's a 1904 building, and I'm in the condo in the back of the English basement level garden. It's a little cul-de-sac garden between the embassy of Moldova and our building. And it's really nice. We got it because my wife had had a stroke, which was kind of like a big deal because it paralyzed her on the left side of her body. And she kind of
Mm,
got
mm.
sick of me complaining about the commute down from our townhouse in Maryland to drop her off at work. They had forced her to come back to work before she was really ready, and it was really, hard. So we bought this place because it was across the street from where she worked. Malfeasance in Pakistan and Afghanistan, but some of the funds that USAID was giving to her organization, which was called the Academy for Educational Development, did worldwide projects um, for people. Anyway, they USAID pulled their funding, and my wife was cut with the first 20% of the company to go. So we had just bought this place,
Oh,
and the rug was pulled out from under us, right, so to speak, of what we thought was going to be the thing. Left foot in front of right foot, we adapted, and life has gone on. Her stroke basically prevented me from following a path that I was heading down that had to do with like getting involved with what's called the Singularity Institute. Speaking of oneness,
oh, really? Yeah,
and
yeah,
I sort of abandoned my initiatives that I was taking to try to become a sort of a mover and a shaker and a central figure within that realm. And I just got my head down and did my contracts, and until finally that rug got pulled out from under me, and I started this foundation and Harrowings podcast, among other things. Harrowings is the publishing arm of foundation that preserves the legacy of my late father, a research historian. And I go out and I film the passing show because I don't know. I like to see what's happening out there in the world because we're all weaving history as it happens. We're all
yeah.
doing this dance
Mm,
with each other.
mm.
It's like a choreography to me to watch people just coming and going on the street, ordinary life. And it amuses me. And I don't know if it amuses anybody else, but I do have a little bit of a following. It seems some people watch it. Some people like Bruno Bondati over in Italy. I think I caught up with him first time that noticed him. I was taking the metro out to Dulles International Airport. I wasn't catching a plane. I was just going out there to watch people weaving together. Right?
Fascinating, yeah. Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. They'll
mm.
never probably get closer to each other than they were in that moment. I was capturing it as I walked around with my camera, pointing outward, talking about it. And I had this guy over in Tijuana, the everyday junglist, he's called, talking to me at the same time, you know,
Oh,
like you and
wow.
I are talking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was
Wow.
fun.
Have a
That's,
different,
yeah.
kind of
And,
flavour. Yeah.
and I'm not trying to teach anybody anything. I'm not trying to be a guru. I'm just trying to be a node on the network that might actually be a catalyst for something happening in somebody else's mind. And you never know what impact you're having, whether
No.
it's good or ill. I don't know if you caught one of the things I like to quote is something I caught as a little scene in a movie that was part of another movie. It was like an embedded
A
movie.
movie in a movie, yeah.
Yeah, this little guy was smoking pot and drinking in a house that his professor had broken into to get to his estranged wife who had left him earlier in the weekend. And as he's watching the TV, there's a little clip from an old Dorian Gray film,
Oh, yeah.
the novel Dorian Gray, in which one of the characters, Sir Henry, I think it is telling Dorian that all influence is immoral.
Mm,
Why is that? Why would you think all influence is immoral? Well, because you are basically influencing somebody else. And
right.
in doing so, that person becomes not your. And actually, Oscar Wilde said this. Did I get his name right? That most people are other people. They're other people's opinions. They're not themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And to be really yourself is something integral. We should become authentically who we are, as opposed to what other people want us to be, the
Yeah.
projections that come onto us, right? Anyway, I could
Even
go on
what
and
people
on.
think of you, you can feel sometimes. You know,
Oh,
like a
yes.
child, a child who the teacher thinks they're a bit, not very bright or something. The child will feel that and shrink.
It's a good conversation about Harold and Maude going on right now. Speaking of authenticity,
About
did you
what?
ever Harold and Maude the movie? Did you ever see that with Ruth Gordon and
No.
Bud? I forget Bud's last name, but it was a movie about this young man who basically was obsessed with death. He's always doing things to shake people up in his environment about this too. He was very morose. He had a Jaguar XKE that was converted into a hearse.
Oh God, sounds fun.
And Ruth Gordon is this 80 something year old woman or 70s something woman who's living life exuberantly, right? She's just full of love and energy. And they have a relationship, this young man and this older woman, at the end of which, I won't spoil it. But anyway, it's a classic from the 1960s. And it's kind of a surreal kind of thing, too, in some ways. I don't know what they're saying about it, but we'll look at their comments later. Anyway, that's a distraction. Sorry. That just emerged up out of the pleroma, as I like to say.
Right. Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know. I read something the other day which was pretty much saying what you're saying about how we're carrying, you know, everybody's projections,
Yeah.
within
Yeah.
us, like, and
And you feel it.
through. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I am very. I wouldn't call. I used to. I'd like to mention something about that. It's like people often say, "Oh, you're really psychic," or say about someone else that they're really psychic. And I actually don't think there's any such thing as being psychic. Do you know what? Because
But it's called paying attention.
if we're all one, okay, of course we're psychic because we're each other. There's only one of us. So why wouldn't we know about someone else? And
Yeah.
I think that it's when your veil or your boundary between yourself and others, but we coin each other. It's like there isn't any others. There's just the one of us, and that was like the more I felt in touch with, like the absolute, the one, the more I knew what was going on around me. And I think it's just your senses become heightened, and I think there's many senses that humans have that we haven't even discovered yet.
Hmm.
And because we label them with old-fashioned psychic, telepathic, and all of these kind of coined words to describe a box that you put people like that in.
Ah. Whoa, see, there you go.
Oh dear, the box has just collapsed. Oh God.
Baba.
Do you know?
Baba's
Do you
at
know?
work.
It's a box. Do you know
I
what
think,
I'm saying though? It's like it's a
yeah.
very. I think we'll look back in time and go, no, people are not psychic. They're just attuned. They're just aware of what's going on because they're conscious of it.
Or they're paying attention.
Being That's it. Awake, more awake. Yeah.
Awake and aware. I spend a lot of time on what I call the alchemy of awakening. And it's fancy words, right? But and I like having a framework to work with. Baba provides a framework, and there are other frameworks. One of them is the Hare Krishnas, apparently. We're getting a question for you, Sue. Are you in tune with the Hare Krishnas? He
Do you
says,
mean
I'm not
the?
a dualist, but I doubt the quote, one mind, unquote. Go ahead.
Well, it's just that I've had connection with the Hare Krishnas
Mm.
in different ways. Put it that way. So I have more than one point of view about them.
Great. Camera one, camera two.
Yeah, it's
Let's
like
go. Let's
I
get the
think they
perspectives.
on a humane compassion level.
Mm.
I know several people that they really helped to get off drugs and get
Oh,
clean. A
oh,
lot
good.
of good stuff like that, And myself, I mean, I'm quite empathic with that, having worked as a drug and alcohol reduction counsellor.
Reduction.
Um,
Yeah.
Reduction, yeah, not getting rid of, reducing. So I was working in Bath when I moved to Bath, as well as the healing centre. I used to work for a place called Badass. Badass.
Badass. Good.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah. It was the
I got to
Bath
get you hooked up with my friend Tina
Addiction,
in
and
Copenhagen. Yeah.
yeah, it was the name. It was kind of, that was the initials, and we just called it Badass. So it was a Bath alcohol and drug reduction. It was an incredible time doing that. Just did it one day a week, you know. But yeah, going back to the Hare Krishnas, yes, I felt they were very compassionate and kind to help people who were like homeless in London and drugs, and really help them to like get off the drugs and get
Right.
straight. Um, but at the core of the Hare Krishna, the teachings, yeah, I think it's, fine. It's like it's kind of basic Hinduism, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, and Krishna was just another mask of Baba.
Yeah, yeah,
He was Krishna. He was all these characters apparently
yeah,
throughout
yeah,
the evolution. Then he was Mayor
yeah,
Baba.
yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
if
it's the
people
same,
don't
isn't
know
it?
about
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah,
I just want to
yeah.
let people know that, you might want to check this guy out because he's got some good things to say. And I
Mm,
don't find anything in it repugnant. Whereas I do find some things in other people's interpretations of, like, particularly when people are trying to control other people. You were talking about getting free, letting go,
mm, mm,
breaking the chains, and
mm.
being free to be who you
Because
are,
that's the key. That's
as
the most
opposed to
important
who other
thing.
people want to project
Mm,
onto you. Yeah.
mm, mm,
I get projection too, and I understand it pretty well now, and it doesn't bother me much because I realize that when I feel like if I speak, I know that other people bristle. I can feel it in the room, right? I go to a lot of AA, right? And I can feel the energy, and I know what that is. I've triggered their shadow or their anima or what their animus or whatever it is, and they're projecting it onto the space I occupy.
mhm.
But have you ever seen the work of Tony Auersler? He's an American artist, but I caught him first in Zurich. And then he has had an exhibit in the Carnegie International right after that. I felt like his art was following me. But he projects like film of faces on pillows. So the bodies are really kind of
Oh,
like doll like, but the
mhm.
projection onto the pillow, a white screen, is the face of a person, and it's talking and it's saying all kinds of things. I was like, that's it. It's projection, right? And the thing itself, if you were to turn off the camera, the projection, there wouldn't be anything there, really. There'd just be this blank,
Oh,
kind of like
wow.
those
Mm,
robots or zombies
mhm,
or something
mhm.
that you're projecting onto. We don't
Yeah.
see other people much. We see ourselves as
Yes. Yeah.
projected onto the other person.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
and it's all one, too. You're seeing aspects of the self with the big S, I think. That inner light, that divine presence, and its shadow as well, because non duality, right? So it's all things. It's not just light, it's also darkness.
It's everything.
Yeah, everything all the time.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
There's a song that came to mind, and it's got a line, everything all the time. And I can't remember which one it is, but I love to associate things with the tunes that have come to my presence because I do think it's in poetry, like you're writing, and in that expression, particularly with rhythm and music, that we really find real communication of the full spectrum of our emotional being as well as our mental being. All the levels come together in music, I feel. What do you think?
Frequency, yeah, vibration, and
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like it's like sometimes I can be writing a poem and then I look at it again, and it's not the word that's wrong, or I need to get a better word than that. It's more of the feel of the rhythm, as you say. It's the kind of how it falls, how it how it kind of it's almost like there's a rhythm in words
Hmm.
that helps you to communicate certain things
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like almost like a science. You know what I mean? It's not just
It's
it's art and
mathematical.
science.
Yeah.
It's art and science because it's got to kind of connect with not just the you know the aesthetic or the nice word but it's the whole feel of it, isn't it? Does it feel comfortable to the ear? Does that fall in a way that serves what you're saying, or does it jangle it? And it's the same with art or film, anything. It's not
Right.
just what you're saying or what you want to communicate. It's how you package it and how you present it makes a big
Right.
difference.
Yeah, I'm actually going to Google up Mayor Baba's message to Hollywood because he actually was talking about exactly this.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, when he went out there in the 30s, and he was at that time using his alphabet board to spell out
The
what he had to
alphabet
say.
board. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not coming up right off. Message to Hollywood.
When I
Da, da.
went to when he guided me to go to his center in California in near Ojai,
Mhm.
um, in Ojai, yeah. When I got to the place, they had like a room filled with videos and films of Meher Baba. I was like, wow, and I just like watched them for a whole day with the board. He was healing the masts, the guys that he said are close to God but have lost the plot.
Right.
So
Exactly.
he used to go and send his men out to find them. And I saw these amazing films of
Uh-huh.
him with these guys that were complete wrecks. And he was washing them, feeding them like a baby. It was incredible. Oh my! And I thought that's
Hmm.
what he wanted to show me. That's why he wanted me to go to his centre in Ojai to see these movies. They're incredible. I mean, God, he was just like a mother to these people.
Yeah, was. Let's see.
He treated them as God.
Yes, he did. And it treated everybody. And he was trying to get
Yeah.
us to wake up to the fact that thou art that, my friends. It's kind of like what Alan Watts was about in the book
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
on the taboo of knowing who you are,
Yeah.
right? And if you don't know W. Watts,
Oh
and
yes, I
Tim,
have
come
heard of
back.
Alan Watts.
I mean,
I saw
yeah, sure.
he had a video the other day that it blew my mind. It was so beautiful, and he had
What a
this
great voice.
mask of many faces, like
Huh.
animals, humans, and he had it over his face, and he was like, and he said, "This is God."
That's interesting. I'd like to see that.
He said, and it's my eye looking out through all the different, faces, but was one eye looking through all the eyes.
Yeah,
And
Emerson
he
was into that.
made a mask. It was fantastic. I thought, oh my God, what a great way to illustrate that. It was like
I'd
he,
love to
he
see
has a
that. I'll have to look
skill
for it.
to be very concise. With his imagery and his words. Really, it's like it encapsulated so much just that one image. Yeah.
There's a little bit of history here that I've managed to pull up. It's not a direct quotation. Doesn't look like maybe there's some in here. It's actually kind of longish. I'm going to read a little bit of it and see how far I get. And I will have to go in about 24 minutes. How's your time?
Yeah, fine. Yeah,
24 minutes, good? Good. Well,
that's all
try
right.
to
That's cool. Yeah,
find some. I'm trying to find some structure to it, but let's not be too
yeah,
boxed
yeah,
in. So this says Eternal Father Avatar Mayor Baba Kijay is the introduction. This is from AJ Stravastava, um, who's an all-star contributor to Avatar Mayor Baba on Facebook. Avatars usually observe a period of silence lasting several years, breaking it only when they wish to manifest the truth to the entire universe. The next day, 31st of May, 1932, Baba visited Paramount Studios accompanied by Quentin and the Mandali. It's his disciples. Lao
That's right.
Sanbera, an Indian born actor who was a friend of the Joneses, I don't know who they are, also went with them. On one lot, The Devil in the Deep was being filmed. Quentin had known the American actress Tallulah Bankhead and actor Charles Laughton in London when they worked in the theater, and he introduced them to Baba. They in turn introduced Baba to another actor, Gary Cooper. Baba stayed to watch a couple of scenes being filmed and afterward was photographed with Tallulah. The visit lasted almost 2 hours. According to a newspaper account, which may not be accurate, Baba spelled on the board to Tallulah that one of the reasons he had come was that in after lunch, Baba and a few others went to Fox where he met the cowboy actor Tom Mix, who was photographed with Baba, and an Indian born director named Isra Mir. Quentin returned to Paramount Studios to pick up Tallulah Bankhead, who was then 30, who had an interview with Baba at 5:30 p.m. She had a long talk with Baba and said she was on her way to see the actress Greta Garbo and would tell her of him. That night at 8:30 p.m., a large reception of 1,000 people took place at the Knickerbocker Hotel in Hollywood. Many from Los Angeles and the surrounding area came to the love gathering. There were so many people from the hall that had to be cleared of all furniture. Men, women, and children stood in line waiting to meet Baba. In a theatrical setting, Baba was seated on an elevated seat with the four Eastern Mandali on one side and the six Westerners on the other, forming a semicircle. Behind Baba, like two angels, two harpists played softly. Visitors were admitted one at a time through a side door of the hall. Each was introduced to Baba, received a handshake and his radiant smile. Passing in a circle from the other's door, they were led outside to the lounge where refreshments were served. In the dazzling light of the hall, Baba looked divinely beautiful in his white robe and with his hair falling to his shoulders, a figure that captivated the hearts of all. And Baba's instructions were that his visitors were not to ask questions and should leave after a handshake with him. But there were many who were so enthralled, felt so intoxicated, they would not leave.
Oh,
Their words of wonder echoed throughout the room. If Christ were alive today, he would look like that. What a divine glow on his face. These are the words of all the people coming, and they go on and on and on about their impressions. And it took 2 hours for Baba to shake everybody's hand, and the following message was then read out. So this is the message. Since arriving in America, I've been asked many times what solution I brought for the social problems now confronting you. And this is the Great Depression, right? And did I have to offer that? And did I have to offer that would solve the problems of unemployment, prohibition, and crime, that would eliminate the strife between individuals and nations, and pour healing balm of peace upon a troubled world? The answer has been so simple that it has been difficult to grasp. The root of all our difficulties, individual and social, is self interest. It is self interest, for example, which causes corruptible politicians to accept bribes and betray the interests of those whom they have been elected to serve, which causes bootleggers, for their own profit, to break a law designed, whether wisely or not, to help the nation as a whole, which causes people to connive for their own pleasure in the breaking of that law, thus causing disrespect for law in general and increasing crime tremendously, which causes the exploitation of the great masses of humanity by individuals and groups of individuals seeking personal gain. It is
mm,
self-interest of humanity by individuals or group. It is self-interest which impedes the progress of civilization by shelving intentions which would contribute to the welfare of humanity at large, simply because their use would mean the scrapping of present inferior equipment, which, when people are starving, causes the wanton destruction of large quantities of food, simply in order to maintain the market prices,
mm,
which causes the hoarding of large sums of gold when the welfare of the world demands its circulation. But the elimination of self interest, even granting a sincere desire on the part of the individual to accomplish it, is not so easy and is never completely achieved except by the aid of a perfect master. For self interest springs from a false idea of the true nature of the self, and this idea must be eradicated and the truth experienced before the elimination of self interest is possible. I intend, when I speak, to reveal this one supreme self which is in all, This accomplished, the idea of the self is as limited, separate entity will disappear, and it will banish self interest. It will destroy self interest, I guess. Cooperation will replace competition. There you go. Certainty will replace fear. Generosity will replace greed. Exploitation will disappear. It has been repeatedly asked why I have remained silent for 7 years, communicating only by means of an alphabet board, and now it's 101 years, and why I intend to break my silence shortly. Ah, really? And it might well be asked, in view of what has just been said, what relation my speaking will have to the transformation of human consciousness. It goes on at length. Don't want to read the whole thing, but the end is the God man neither thinks nor desires. Through him, the divine will flows inevitably into perfect manifestation, passing directly from the spiritual body, which in the ordinary human being is undeveloped, into physical expression. For him, the superconscious state is the normal state of consciousness. From him, there continuously flows infinite love and wisdom, infinite joy and peace and power, like that joy that hit you in the car that time, right? So it goes on a little bit longer, and then they begin to disperse. Was asked to disperse actually, but no one budged. They kept staring at him, so they were
Oh,
entranced.
the frequency, they hungry, you know.
Yeah,
It's like he's
yeah,
it's like the mother with the food, and they're hungry, and that's why they didn't want to leave because they were being fed what they really, the thing they really hungered for. I think.
right, right. I'll turn around and show you the picture. See if you can see it. Do you see that?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that was taken either on May 31st or on June 2nd, 1932. So that's what they were seeing. Anyway, so it's a lovely thing. He's in a nice white suit there, and quite
Dapper.
striking.
Looking
At
dapper.
that
Yeah.
time, he was really
Mm.
quite striking. I mean, his appearance changes over time. He went ahead and aged, and had traffic accidents, and you know,
Yes,
suffered
he did have
greatly
a
in the
traffic.
body.
Yeah. Do you know what
And
one of the messages he gave to me talking about what what you've just read, his
hmm
speech, is that he said there's a very bad disease in the world, the worst disease that could ever be, and it's rampant, he said. And it's called mistaken identity syndrome. And he called it MIS, Miss. God. He said it's the
there's a
whole
scene.
core is that people don't know who they are.
Yeah,
Mistaken identity. They think they're like this separate, you know,
yeah,
disconnected thing, that is born and dies. They don't know that they are who they are. And he said that is the biggest epidemic, really.
yeah. We are this subgenius. Have you ever heard of the book of the subgenius? By the
No,
way, oh, it's
no.
lovely. It's a satirical kind of thing, but it's not also. It's
Who
a
wrote
lot
it?
of fun. Sorry.
Who wrote it?
The book of the subgenius was written by it's the Subgenius Foundation. It's not
Okay,
credited to anybody in particular. It's a
okay.
bunch of clip art. Really, there's an awful lot of clip art involved, um, and it's the sacred teachings of J.R. Bob Dobbs. The Subgenius Foundation is who's credited with it. This is J.R. Bob Dobbs, who's like the prophet of the subgenius. See, these guys were getting stoned in
Oh,
Texas, and they said, our problem is we're not really geniuses, we're like subgeniuses. And then they spun up a church about that parody religion. It's really detailed. There's so much here. It's amazing.
wow.
But it's it's very much tongue in cheek. How to pray and grow rich. They've got here, for instance. It's kind of like missing the point, but deliberately in a way that's sort of in your face and trying to sort of like wake you up with
Yeah,
shock
yeah,
value.
yeah.
It's kind of like GI Gurdjieff's trying to wake
Okay,
people
yeah,
up. And
yeah.
it's like, you go on through a lot of these different writers and There was The Outsider, written by Colin Wilson. Are you familiar with
I've
Colin Wilson?
I've
Yeah,
read, yeah, yeah. I had a friend who knew him in London.
there you go.
Yeah, very interesting book. Yeah.
And
Did he write Super? Did he write Supernature?
he may have. I haven't seen it,
That
but
was the
I
book
do
I
know
read. It blew my mind. Yeah.
his first one was the Outsider in like 1956.
Okay.
I picked up a first edition recently. I was led to it by another book called Beyond the Robot. I was looking around to see if I have any of these things at hand, and I'm so disorganized right now, which is lovely organization of being disorganized. I was lucky to have the book at hand. I've also got Margaret Atwood's little book of poetry here called Morning in the Burned House. I like that a lot. It's nice.
Oh.
Do you know Margaret Atwood?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She's over there, I
Yeah.
think, recently. And I just saw that Patti Smith is in the Eurostar.
Oh,
She was
really?
just posted from there. She was flying across to England, I guess, from Europe. I think that's she's been over in Europe doing some performances lately. She's almost 80. I love that.
No.
And
Wow.
watching people do things well into, years in which most people have stopped working.
Yeah.
But artists don't really stop. And like my father in 91, he was still doing research historian work.
Wow.
Had work in progress by his computer on advertisements of tradesmen of the 18th century. That's what his focus was on, was the merchants and tradesmen who were, making a living there and founding the kind of economic structure that was happening, economic history and social history, how it all that stuff is intertwined. And
Yeah.
one of my mantras all the time is every cent spent is a vote for the kind of world we're co-creating. Be mindful about what you're doing, people. You're creating all this stuff with your
Yeah.
mind and with your
Yeah.
power of your
Yeah.
purse. And
Yeah.
well, we got to do better. Our descendants are dependent on it, you know. And I don't know. I'm really worried for the generations coming after. What do you think? What do you think for the generations coming after?
Well, I don't want to be too optimistic, really. I don't know. It's like, to be honest,
Yeah,
talking about psychic things, and I
please.
mentioned I'd been on a retreat when I was very young. I'd been on like a 4 years retreat in which I didn't speak to anybody because I didn't see anyone. I only like saw one person for 4 years.
Wow.
Um, and I asking who am I, and during that time I had the I don't want to say I had the capacity because I didn't seem to be there at that time, but the capacity happened of being able to see in the future and the past.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of went into very ancient civilizations that have happened, Egypt, Sumeria, lots of South American. It's like I was there in that time
Hmm.
and observing what was happening. I wasn't in it, I was observing it. And then I was going into the future as well. So I was kind of
Yeah.
time traveling. That's the Tibetan said, oh, yes, you was in the Bardo,
Right.
traveling in time. That's what the Bardo is, the time, like the Akashic Records.
Right.
So it was for some reason that opened up, probably because I was like completely quiet and no distractions from the outside world. So I could focus really strongly on the inner worlds and explore that. No, no drugs, nothing, just very simple food, water, and lot meditation. Really, it was. I have written a book about that time, but I have never published it. I might
Mm.
do that. But I did go into the future and I went into this current time. Many things that I saw at that time have happened. I just go, oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I remember that happening in the past. Yeah. But what I see in the future is quite good. That's why I'm so optimistic because I
Oh,
feel
optimistic. Okay.
that we do not need to worry really because it's beyond our control,
Don't
and
worry, be happy.
we underestimate our divine nature and who we are. And what I saw was that there would be an awakening of the planet, that the planet would, not like all the animals, like, but, humanity rather than the planet, that humanity is on a curve of awakening, and that can't be stopped, regardless of what the outside looks like.
That's why the
That
shadow is
it's popping,
manifesting.
it's popping, and it's hidden, it's undercover. It's the, what do they call it in the, I heard it referred to in the war as the fifth column or something.
Yes, right, but the
Yeah,
hidden
yeah, yeah.
column.
That came to mind. Something I read about that. But this is like the fifth column of consciousness.
Yeah, well, you have to have, these special forces in your army who are like hidden, cloaked. They go in like the Navy SEALs
Undercover
in the
agents.
darkness.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
have said before to people, I'm on God's special forces team. I only show up where I'm absolutely necessary. And I sometimes
Mhm.
believe it for a minute. And it's fun to play that role. Also, I'm playing roles, right? Um, and, the misidentification of who you are, right? That part there is wonderful scene in Wavy Gravy's movie. At the very beginning, he goes in, he's shuffling into his little sacred space. He's got all these little tchotchkes set up around all these pictures of people and stuff, and he prays in the name of all these different people that and at the end he says, "Bless this day as it transpires, and help me to be the best Wavy Gravy I can muster."
Yeah, yeah.
So let's
That's
all
it.
be the best, Sue
That's it.
Cawthorne you can
That's it.
muster. I'll be the best Al Gill I can muster. And between the
Exactly.
two of us, we now are like a little center. Because did you notice how much traffic we got from your side in particular, which is called what again? What is your
Portals to
title for you?
reality.
Portals to Reality. And mine's Harrowings. Because I find life to be
Sorry?
harrowing. Like, you're scraping the surface. You can only see the surface of things. So you're scraping the surface and churning up the soil to see what'll sprout,
Mm.
you know, to get it ready for planting creative work into it. And so harrowings has been that, but it's also the aspect that life itself can be harrowing. It's terrifying. It's like running naked through barbed
Yeah,
wire
yeah, yeah.
sometimes. There's a lot of suffering and pain involved. And there's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
also the consciousness of suffering.
yeah,
Baba talked about how he felt the suffering of all of creation
yeah, yeah.
within himself because he's
Yes.
one and he was awake and
Mm,
aware. He
mm-hmm.
had been entered into that state where he's both at infinite bliss and infinite suffering simultaneously,
I've had
both
that
able,
myself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it can be really hard, but I'm glad you're
Mm-hmm.
optimistic about our future. I'm hoping we're all going to wake up. I hope that we are instrumental in helping
Yeah, but
others wake
if
up.
there's only
And
one of us, we all have to wake up.
that's true. That's a good point. And maybe we all are. And it's very judgmental of me to say that anybody isn't awake already.
Mm.
But I don't know, man. I just know how it seems to me. I
Conscious.
could be wrong.
Yeah, consciously awake.
Conscious contact. That we talk a lot about that in the recovery community, maintaining conscious contact. And it's bedeviling in some ways because there's a lot there. There's a lot of energy
Mm.
in having that contact and having it flow through you and feeling like I'm not at the wheel anymore, right? You're driving
Yeah.
the car and
Mm-hmm.
suddenly the car's
Mm-hmm.
turning into this little village. Yeah, right?
Actually grabbed the car. And he was like, "What are you doing, my God?" And I went, "Down, where are we going?" And the house, I mean, incredible, was just across the road. I mean, that story is, I mean,
And like Pete Townsend's
couldn't
place
make it
being
up.
across. Yeah. And then you also had contact with Ronnie Lane's house. I understand. That was
Oh,
nice to hear.
yeah, through a friend in when
Mhm.
I was in the working at Heaven nightclub. It was called Heaven, the
Oh,
nightclub.
yeah, well, here. We have heaven and hell, actually. Downstairs is hell, upstairs is heaven. Go ahead.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, it was, a swinging nightclub, Heaven, and that's where they had the mega triple is. And I was doing like these band things there, and also doing healing on the stage as well. So, so we were doing healing. People were coming to this nightclub, and we were trying to arrange things which help the kids get off drugs as well. And having speakers come about that, and that's when we got, Terence McKenna and people like that. But so it was like, yeah, this friend of mine said, "Oh, we had to move from our flat," and she said, "Oh, I've got a friend who's got a brilliant house in St John's Wood, and she's not going to be living in it." And basically, she said she's met this really rich guy now, and she's living with him. So she said, "Do you want to go and see the flat?" So when I got there, I could see like a lot of like memorabilia of kind of the rock world. And I met the lady, and she said, "Oh, I'm not going to be living here." And then she said, "Oh, this is my ex-husband Denny." And she said, "Wings," and I was like, "Oh, really? Yeah." So it
Oh,
was very strange, the whole thing. How yeah, I became friendly, friendly with her, yeah, and lived
interesting.
in
That
her
wasn't
house.
Ronnie Lane. That was Denny Lane,
Sorry.
the Wings guitarist.
Oh yes, this is Danny Lane, not Ronnie Lane. Yeah,
Right, right.
yeah,
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 I got that. And
yeah.
it's very interesting that they
Wrong
are
lane. Yeah, yeah.
intertwined into the people's
Mm,
lives for those
yeah,
people who get the
yeah.
spotlight and those who shun it. I kind of shun the spotlight myself. I'd rather put other people on the spotlight. I want to put the
Mm,
spotlight on you, for instance, by having you as a guest on Harrowings. And I'm so glad we got over the silence, so that was very fun.
yes, yeah.
Being the
I
day
was
of
wondering
silence.
when, just before we finish, maybe we could do a little minute silence in honor of Baba and his 101 years today. What do you reckon? Yeah? What now? Yeah. Okay.
That's 1 minute. And I think it was probably a great place to stop because
Yeah.
we're at
Yeah.
7:31. But I did remember the everything all the time line that I had. It come up in my head, and I knew it was from a song. It's "Life in the Fast Lane" by the Eagles.
Oh,
Do you remember that one?
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Everything all the time. And we're all in this together. So please, folks, amplify our signal through the noise. You did a great job of the first one. And this one has actually been a little, I don't know, Sue, what do you think? How have we done? What's your assessment?
I think it's been deeper.
Hmm, good. A
It's
little more
gone,
focused.
yeah, gone a bit deeper.
And there you
Well,
did it
I don't
again.
know. Baba's like playing around, I think.
I think so. It's all one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that about us talking about it. And I was really so pleasantly surprised last time about how well I found, the information you were providing from your life and how it syncs up well.
Mm.
I did another podcast. You might want to look it up with Odette Bianchini, who's a musician and a sound healer and Reiki master in Milan. So I will hopefully stir her up again one time and we'll go back live again sometime. I've been doing less of this So, those of you who've tuned in, please consider being a guest. I don't know. Do you do these live things with your people at all, Sue? Are you doing some things on Portals of Reality?
Not really, no. No.
Okay. Well, this will show up there, I'm sure. So I'll wrap it up. And thank you again for being my
Yeah.
guest. It's been
Thank
a
you so
genuine
much.
pleasure.
Really
I'm
enjoyed
glad
it.
we
Thank
worked through
you.
it. We're out here. And I hope all you have a great day. Bye.
Thanks,
Come
Hal.
by Daily Provisions. I'll be on at 9.
Okay.